Howdy folks, Dave here at Thunder Mesa Studio with an update on how things are progressing here at the new studio space. Specifically, I wanted to show you how we're moving forward on prepping the new layout room. The new model shop is all ready to go at this point, but one of my favorite things about this new space is that there's a separate room for the model shop and one for the layouts. But unlike the model shop, which is all neat and tidy, this back room needs a little bit of work before we'll be able to move the model railroads in here. Now the space came with these massive wooden shelves, and those are the first things that need to go. But with a Sawzall and a little help from my lovely wife, we'll get those out of here in short order. Now I am saving all of that lumber to possibly use on future projects, but at the moment my next area of concern, now that the shelves are out of here, is this gap down here where the drywall doesn't quite come to the floor. It goes from about a ½ inch to a 1 inch wide gap down there. And you know, Arizona is home to all sorts of creepy crawlies, so we want to seal this up and make the interior of this room as tight as possible. So my plan is to fill this gap in with this expanding polyurethane foam. But before I do that, I want to go back and use the shop vac to get any loose material that might still be hiding down in there. Now this is great stuff, but it's also kind of nasty. So I want to make sure to take all the proper safety precautions, read and understand all the directions before I start squirting it out of here. You don't want to get this stuff on your skin anywhere, because if you do, you're going to need acetone to get it off, and putting acetone on your skin isn't that great either. So first things first, we need to shake this for at least a solid minute. And this stuff is going to expand quite a bit as it sets up and fill all of those gaps. Then after it cures, I'm going to need to come back and cut off any excess that's squirted out here. The key is to keep it moving as much as you can. The gap gets bigger down here towards this end. The floor is not completely level. It has a little bit of a slope to it for drainage reasons. Now we'll let this set up and see how we did. This stuff will cure completely solid in about 8 hours, but I'm not just going to stand around and wait. There's another little project here that needs my attention in the meantime. There's a great big crack in the concrete floor here. It looks like it's gotten worse over time as the building has settled. And I'm going to want to fill that too. For this job, I'm going to be using some of this DAP liquid cement crack filler. This is what the guy down at my local hardware store recommended, so I'm going to give it a shot. I've already cleaned the crack out with the shop vac the best I can and given this a good shake, so let's see how it works. Yeah, the package says it's self-leveling, but I do have a putty knife standing by just in case. Given the depth of this crack, probably going to have to do a couple of applications, at least in some spots. It's like filling up the Grand Canyon here. Okay, I think I'm going to let this settle, and then I'll go over all of it again with a second application. Now, after a couple of applications and letting it dry completely in between, this is how our crack looks. It's not a perfect repair, but it is a vast improvement. So all in all, I'd say this product works pretty well. The expanding polyurethane foam has also had a chance to dry completely, and now I need to go back and remove all of this excess that oozed out. The best tools I found to do that is actually a fine-tooth razor saw, or any serrated edge knife will work. I just like a fine-tooth because it doesn't make as much of a mess. And utility knife. Just cut straight down from the top, all the way down, and then back underneath. By the way, this is an old razor saw, which I don't use for hobby building anymore. In case you were concerned with me running it along the concrete floor here. Okay, now I can think about adding some new baseboards down here. But what I want to do right now, I think, is just patch and fill these holes in the drywall best I can using some good old spackling compound. There are a lot of holes. And I'm not trying to be too particular or precise here, just getting some spackle back inside of these holes. And then when it's dry, I'll come back and sand everything flush. Now, I'm under no illusions that I'm going to be able to turn this wall into a nice smooth surface to paint a backdrop on. Those shelves that were in here, they really did a number on this drywall. Really the only way to repair this properly would be, well, not the only way, but probably the most expedient way, would be to just resurface it with a veneer of probably some 1/4-inch drywall over the top, and retape, remud, refinish the whole wall. Now, since I don't own this space, I don't necessarily want to invest that much into it as far as completely refinishing the interior. But I do want to get it to a state where, to look good and work well for the model railroads in here. So I do have a plan for the backdrop here, and we'll be getting to that in just a minute. Okay, that's already looking quite a bit better. I think I'll let all this dry overnight. Come back tomorrow, do some sanding. We'll be well on our way. Not perfect, but it is a lot better. I think now I'll put the baseboards on. I'd say that is an improvement. Each one of these little jobs is an incremental improvement on the space. Now the plan is to put the Thunder Mesa layout on this side of the room, all along this back wall and coming around the corner over here. And I want to have a backdrop with coved corners in it. So how do we do that? Well, fortunately, I remember reading about the backdrop that John Allen installed on his famous Gory and Defeated layout. And instead of, drywall or hardboard or something like that, he actually used vinyl flooring with the backside turned out. Let me show you what I mean. So here I have a 36-foot long roll of vinyl flooring, 12 feet high by 36 feet long. Picked this up down at my local home center. I bought the cheapest one that I could get. And the idea here is you put the pattern side, the side that would normally be facing up when it's installed on the floor, against the wall, and the backing side out. So you've got a clean, fresh surface to paint your backdrop on. Now first I want to start with a nice square cut on the end here, and fortunately this checkerboard pattern makes that pretty easy. Stuff is pretty easy to cut with a utility knife and a straight edge. And now I need to measure and cut the entire roll this way, so I end up with a piece that's 70 inches high and 36 feet long. Easy, right? This is probably going to take a minute. Okay, we've got the vinyl cut to length, and now comes the fun part, hanging it on the wall. So the idea is to hold it in place to the studs with some drywall screws and some 1/4-inch washers. Hopefully we don't rip the whole thing. Okay, that went about as well as could be expected. We've got the top of the sheet anchored to the wall into the studs up there, but the bottom is still kind of free-flowing because what we want to do next is apply construction adhesive to the walls to secure the vinyl in place up snug against the wall surface. This is going to be a permanent installation. I kind of wanted to have a backdrop that I could take down and take with me, but the size of this makes that impractical. If it was smaller, I could make it out of hardboard or something like that and have it be detachable and take with me if I move from here. But given the size of this space, it just made sense to make it a permanent installation. So we're going to be gluing this to the wall. I'm going to basically lift this up and roll glue onto the walls behind it, and then kind of press it down and squeegee it into place. This may not be the best way to do this, but it's the way that we figured out. So we're going to go for it. So this is the goop we're going to be using to adhere the vinyl to the walls. This is some Henry 356 adhesive. It's kind of a pasty consistency, specifically formulated for sheet flooring, carpet, and vinyl flooring like this. It's designed to go on the floor, of course, on flat surfaces. We'll see how it works up on the wall. And to apply it, we've got a couple of foam rollers on extensions. Should make life a little bit easier. All right, first thing, I'm going to scoop some of this out into this painting tray. Now, you're supposed to apply this stuff with a trowel, but you're also supposed to apply it on the floor. So we're breaking all the rules here. Oh, I need gloves. Hang on. Again, this is stuff you don't really want to get on your skin, on your hands, on your face, in your eyes, anywhere like that. You can see it's quite a bit thicker than paint. I'm using these thin foam rollers. The idea being that I don't want the big, fluffy, paint rollers for this. I want these to be as thin as I can get them. Get a nice even coating of the glue on here. The nice thing about it being this thick is it's not going to drip very much. I'm going to ask my lovely assistant here to pull this out from the mold. Don't lift it up, just straight out. There we go. I just need to be able to get up under here. Basically only doing a couple of feet at a time. So much for my theory about it not dripping. Going all the way up as high as I can. Okay. Should actually go pretty fast once we get going. Okay, you can go ahead and lay that down, let that fall. Now I'm going to use a clean roller without anything on it. Yeah, this is going to really bring all this together, I think. It's going to bring the whole room together. You can flatten this out up against the wall. And the idea is if there's any bubbles or anything, kind of work them out towards the ends. And I can always, yes, that's drywall tape. Nothing I can do about that. We'll put a mountain there. Okay, now for the next section. So that's basically the way it's going to go. I think we can time lapse the rest of this. Cure for about 48 hours, and then we'll be about ready to get some paint on here. So now we have a nice cove on the corners and a nice flat surface to work with. And of course everything from about here down is going to be hidden behind the scenery on the layout. Once all this is dry, I'll come back and cut out around the breaker box here and put the faceplate back on. Unfortunately, that can't be repositioned, so, I'll just paint it to match the rest of the backdrop. I love it when a plan comes together. I don't want to give anybody the impression that this was easy. Sometimes when you watch the time lapse and you see it go just like that, you might get the impression that this was an easy project. This was not easy. This was hard to do, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without help. And I want to thank my lovely wife, Nina, so much for helping out. She truly is one in a million, and I am so lucky to have her. I'm well aware that you can see some of the diamond pattern here through the vinyl. But I think once it's primed, get a couple of coats of primer on there, you won't be able to see that, and we'll be able to paint it. We'll have a nice painting surface to work with for the backdrop. But that is going to have to wait for another video because I need to wrap this one up. I want to thank you all so much for watching today, for joining me for this preparation of the new layout room. It's going pretty well. I think when all is said and done, this is going to be a great place to relax and play with trains, which is what it's all about, right? Until next time, you can also follow Thunder Mesa over on Instagram at thunder.mesa, and check out the resources available on the Thunder Mesa Studio website at thundermesa.studio. As always, a huge shout out and thank you to our Patreon members who help to make these videos possible. Keep moving forward, my friends. Adios for now.